Welcome and thank you to everyone for joining us this afternoon for our live event to talk about Microsoft Skills certifications in education. My name is Andrew Griggs. I am COO at Prodigy Learning and your compere for this webinar. My passion and time over the last 13 years has been focused on promoting the values of digital skills, and it is a pleasure to spend time with you all this afternoon. We have a fantastic 45 minutes planned for everybody, and with some amazing speakers and partners who will talk to you all about the current digital skills landscape in education and how they have addressed local challenges. Before we get started, I have a number of housekeeping points. Firstly, this session is going to be recorded and can be found later today online at prodigylearning.com.au. We will be hosting live Q&A with our guests, so please post questions in the Q&A window, and we'll try to get through as many as we can in the time that we have. Please continue the conversation on social media. You can follow Prodigy Learning on Facebook and LinkedIn and via our Twitter handle at CertMatters. Don't forget to follow and include the Microsoft Education team on Facebook, LinkedIn and Twitter via @MSAU Edu. Now, just to introduce a little bit about Prodigy Learning, as a business, we are a digital skills and certification specialist business who have been operating for the last 20 years. These IT certifications that we're going to talk about today deliver job-ready skills, improving employability options for students and productivity for employees. We currently have over 2,000 active customers in education, training, corporate and public sectors across our offices in the UK, the US, and of course, Australia. Along with certifications, we also pride ourselves on our 4-stage learning pathway to assist all customers with best-in-class curriculum and technical support. This sets us apart from traditional standalone e-learning providers. My colleague Ema will talk about this in more depth soon. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our speakers and agenda for the next 45 minutes. I'm delighted and grateful to have Travis Smith, who is the Business Education Lead for Microsoft Australia, who has joined us to talk about Microsoft's vision for digital skills and an exciting new push to support the upskilling of individuals and communities. Following Travis, we have a fantastic speaker, one of our lead educators, MJ Ratz from Forest Lake High School in Queensland, who will talk through how they have embedded and offered Microsoft certifications to their students. Finally, we have an up-and-coming star from Prodigy Learning, Ema Henderson, who's joining us to present on how you can set up to deliver certification programs in your school. Don't miss out on an important offer at the end with a free announcement for everybody. First up, we have Travis Smith from Microsoft. So Travis, the floor is yours.
Thanks very much, Andrew, and it's a real pleasure to be here. My name's Travis, and I'm the Education Industry Lead for Microsoft Australia. What that basically means is I spend a lot of time working with large departments of education, school leaders, system leaders, and also universities, talking about the way that our technology might be able to support teaching and learning. And with a background in education myself as a former school leader and university lecturer, it's a real area of passion for me. So it's wonderful to be involved here with Prodigy Learning today. And skills are a big part of our mission as an organisation. It's empower every person and organisation on the planet to achieve more. And one of the things that's really important with that is skills. Now, obviously, with the current situation around COVID that's happening globally, we're already seeing, for example, as of a month ago, the unemployment rate in the US is twice what it was in the global financial crisis in 2008. So the emphasis on skills at the moment is really, really important. And one of the things we do know too out of the data that's emerging around this space is that it's the type of jobs that are being hit hardest are sort of the routine jobs, the non-tech jobs, the repetitive sort of manual jobs that are being really hit. And therefore, this idea of certification and upskilling yourself with digital skills for students and also people in the community is really, really more important now than it's ever been before. Our CEO, Satya Nadella, talks about the idea that we've seen or saw across sort of March and April-May timeframe about 2 years of digital transformation globally in 2 months. And what that means is that lots and lots of technology initiatives are being stood up. Projects have been running globally to try and do things like, for example, remote learning, which I'm sure many people on the call had to grapple with themselves as we went into a lockdown. And so there's been this huge trajectory around technical skills and around professional learning for teachers, and it's likely not to stop, and we're likely not to go back to what we were before. There's a prediction at the moment talking about that there would be probably about 149 million additional jobs by 2025 in the technology space alone. So, you know, almost 100 million in software development and cloud and data and AI and machine learning and cybersecurity, and there's huge growth areas in this. And the only way to really separate yourself around those areas is through certifications from large organisations who offer these certs. We also made an announcement recently through Brad Smith, one of our corporate vice presidents of Microsoft, about skilling 25 million people over the coming years as a result of what we're seeing with the COVID pandemic. And not all of these jobs that are in high demand are tech jobs. You know, there's lots of jobs that use technology and rely on you having a base level skill proficiency in the use of technology, even if it's not being software engineering or data heavy sort of roles. There's lots and lots of jobs. And so one of the things that we did was use a lot of LinkedIn data around analysing what are the sort of 10 top roles or jobs that need to be filled globally, and what are the kinds of skills that are required to fill them. And while there are some technology jobs like software developer and IT support and data analyst and those sorts of things, there's also things like graphic design and being a project manager and financial analysts and customer service specialists and online marketing, digital marketing folks. So there's lots of different roles that are available, and one of the things that Microsoft has done is put together free sort of pathways of training for people in the world to be able to look at what those key jobs are that are in demand and be able to work out what skills they require for the future. So skills is a big part of what we talk about and what we want to prepare as an organisation, people to sort of recover and bounce back from this pandemic we're going through at the moment. So what about K-12 students? And I suppose you know, it's not, certifications in K-12 is not all about, you know, deep digital literacy. It's not all about, you know, having students who want to be a coder or are going to go into software development or whatever. Is also the ability to use productivity tools. And there's a huge amount of data that talks about the kinds of jobs, you know, the vast majority of jobs moving forward will require a proficiency or skill set in the use of technology. And that's where certifications really sort of come in. Now more than ever, you know, school leaders are thinking about, and teachers are thinking about, how do we give our students an advantage when they go into the workforce around certification. And so we've been really passionate about, you know, developing these skills in students over many years, and even in K-12. You know, we obviously have Minecraft, the Minecraft Education Edition that we use to introduce coding and other bits and pieces to students. We have Hacking STEM curriculum, which is about, you know, getting students hands-on with the STEM-based learning that's required. We have run for the last 2 years a challenge called the AI for Good Challenge, and that is a challenge for school-age students, year 7 to 12 in Australia, to learn a little bit about artificial intelligence, to think about not only what the technology is about, but also about the ethical considerations around AI, and then to use those learnings to sort of prototype or to think about, do a design thinking challenge really about how artificial intelligence could solve some modern challenges that they see in their world. And you know, it's been really a huge thing that we've been looking at. And the reason that we sort of invest in that sort of stuff as Microsoft is because we know that with technologies like artificial intelligence sort of moving so fast by us and other vendors who make that and design that technology, we sort of feel a responsibility to put that kind of stuff into the curriculum, because we can't expect teachers to always be up with the latest and it moves so fast by the time you get something through an approval. So that's really important. And also at higher education, we're starting to see universities connect with us and sort of say, hey, do you have curriculum in some of these areas? So skills and certifications are a big part of what we talk about at Microsoft. Internally at the moment, we do a lot of certifications ourselves to make sure that we're prepared and certified. And it's great to be partnering with Prodigy Learning, who are our go-to partner around certifications in Australia. They're a company who has presence all around the world and has done some amazing work globally. And it's really great to be involved in opening the webinar today. So I hope you really enjoy the webinar. There's going to be lots of content and lots of sharing from people on the webinar today. And with that, hope you enjoy it, and I'll pass back to Andrew.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you, Travis. What an amazing commitment from Microsoft, having worked with Microsoft in the skills space for the last 11 years. It's fantastic to see such a prominence for certifications and a real development of curriculum. So thanks, Travis, for your time, and thanks also for colleagues at Microsoft for their support and partnership for this webinar, and obviously through the work that we do. Unfortunately, Travis needs to leave us, but if you have any questions for Travis on the Microsoft team, then please still do post them in the Q&A section, and we'll pass them on, and hopefully the guys in Microsoft will be able to answer those. So look, thanks Travis, appreciate your support, and thanks for clearing the background as well for your help. Next up, I'm excited to introduce a passionate and dedicated advocate of digital skills and certifications, who's going to take us through our next section. So MJ, welcome. Thanks for your time this morning. It's over to you.
Thanks very much, Travis. I really like the statement you're talking about, the different skills we've got. And for me, we have taken on a new challenge of esports within education at the moment. Over the last 18 months, we've been doing a lot, even along the lines of the Minecraft stuff there as well. But what you're talking about is the new term, or it's not a new term, but it's a newly envisaged term of transferable skills. So, you know, you're really trying to make sure that those skills are able to be used across all different curriculum areas. The original presentation does have video, but because it's online mode, I've decided just to chop out the videos. You can just see some stats and data here based around just the skills for the workforce as well. In our school, we've had a fair few Microsoft Office specialists, you know, the old MOS expert, and we're really proud to have Microsoft Office Specialist Masters. I think that particular statement around the master thing just makes you sound like you're from Star Wars, which makes you sound cooler, and therefore kids like it. One of the really nice parts about the achievements that the kids get from this is it makes them more efficient with their assessment as well. We also do a staff training module, so we'll just jump to the next slide. One of the really nice things is the information that the kids get to promote on the local pages as well. I mean, we're always trying to look at ways to increase the positive communications that the school has. Our Facebook page is pretty I suppose vibrant, has information come across every day with the scheduled posts and that. This is one of the posts from our 3 Microsoft Office Specialist Masters that we achieved last year. They're all looking at university pathways, but 2 of the boys don't know exactly what they want to do. The really nice part about all this is that students can gain QCE points. So from year 10 in Queensland, and it may be the same in your other certificates across Australia, but for Queensland, Queensland Certificate of Education, you can gain 8 points in the enrichment area. So that goes for like extension music or any of this tech stuff. And it's been absolutely amazing. We've got a lot of kids that have actually achieved 8 certificates over the last 6 years, and it really helps towards their QCE. The benefit of this is that you can embed the content into any of your SAS subjects or your VET subjects or your QCAA general subjects as well. We normally run for the QCAA general subjects, we normally run the content in the first 2 weeks. If we know that the students are going to have to be using PowerPoint in grade 11, for example, as their multimodal construction tool, we actually run the 2-week Microsoft certificate there. And we normally concentrate just on that content and using that as a tool to get the content across in the lessons. It allows the students to really gain an insight in how to use the tools better. And once again, they come out with a QCE as well. They're clearly your certificates, but you guys probably know that that's the curriculum stuff. Look, I'll just let you have a 15-second read of that, and I'll be quiet for 15 seconds. If you're looking at promoting to your principal, don't forget the curriculum documents that they have in the background that actually map all the outcomes as well. One of the other things that you can look at, it doesn't just benefit your students, it also benefits your people in the office and people who run any other sport, tournaments, you name it, within your school. The really nice part is that it allows for CPD, continued professional development. That's for both your teachers and your students. So if you've got it for your teachers, all my teachers have completed at least one certificate, and it's a really important process that they do that so that they can understand and help and support the students as well. The final tests on Certiport are pretty great, and it sort of helps and supports everything there as well. The process via the State Library of Queensland, and I'm sure that other states have the same thing, you've got the LinkedIn Learning. Well, they still call it, what is it, lynda.com on the State Library of Queensland site, but it's now switched over to LinkedIn Learning. And you can get that for complete free if you're in Queensland, and it doesn't cost you anything. So that's a nice little extra reward for any Queensland. The state government pays for us to have that free license, and it allows you to do the videos to watch how to do each of the content. Geometrics is for the practicing, and clearly Certiport's for the certification. In terms of the State Library of Queensland, that's the LinkedIn Learning. You can see it just has the video and the content. The nice part too is if you're trying to embed it in a SAS subject, so study area specific subject within QCAA or any of your curriculum areas, if you map it and it maps to the Australian curriculum as well, you can actually just watch these pre-made videos and all the content's already complete for you. So if you're a teacher that struggles with time management, you can definitely do that. Geometrics, if you haven't seen the Geometrics interface, the really nice part about it, it gives you a task. It then tells you what to complete. If you don't know how to do it, you can click the little light bulb or question mark, and it gives you the step-by-step instructions. So depending on the student, some students like to watch videos, some students like and learn better by interacting and doing. I'm a student that likes to interact and do. I don't really like watching videos. I'd rather just go and play and poke around. So the geometric stuff's really good for that. It also gives you a simulated education environment for the students. So it can become a part of your Friday lesson that you actually are completing a geometrics component within the lessons. So Microsoft certification itself, we use 2016 still in government, and I know Office 365 is there as well. So depending on what level of application you want to use, the Certiport stuff's there ready to go. Very, very easy. When I say Microsoft Office is free, every educational institution, I think, in the world, it's free. So as long as you've got a EDU email address, most of the time I think you don't pay. Same for university students as well. It doesn't have all the components for some universities, but it certainly has most of the information there. On the Forest Lake website, you can have a look at any of the information there under the computer area. And the last part is really certification is not hard, but it does take time. The same with the students in your classroom. They're not just going to get it by osmosis. They have to actually do the work. I actually class the information that you get through the certification a lot better than most of the vet certificates at a Cert 2 level for business or IT. The skills that you use here will get students jobs, and for me the most important thing are jobs at the end of the day for students, and having the transferable skills. Once you learn how to use the Microsoft products, you actually take the time to look how to do something quicker, and I think that's probably one of the best things for the students when they're doing assessment. You can sit there and put 200 pictures into a PowerPoint presentation, or you can take maybe 15 seconds to do the same thing by using the proper tools. For those of you who've ever done the end of year graduation stuff, that's the way to do it. It's called photo album inside PowerPoint, and it's just those simple little tools that make everything better for everyone, including the students and the teachers who are marking it, because it's consistent, it's pretty, and it's just really, really nice to work with. All right, I'm done.
Brilliant.
I'm happy for questions, clearly, but
Brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. Thank you, MJ. Look, thanks ever so much for that. Some of the wisest words at the end there. We often talk with our customers about the first year of a new certification program being the toughest, and we obviously try to work on maybe 1, 2 year, 3 year plans with customers to make sure that they're set up effectively. So those words at the end there, look, certifications are hard, but if you prepare correctly and you get the right support, I think you can get there. I know some people have had some issues with the Q&A sections, but we've had some questions come in. So if you have a couple of minutes to hang on, MJ, I'll pose a couple that have come in. One that I've got here is how well have the students engaged with the Microsoft programs, and do they see the benefit and importance?
So I think the first thing is how engaged are the students. I would have to say that from my point of view, the students that are failing school and never turn up, this is not your course for them. It's definitely something they can do, because it's not something that's easy. The students that struggle with schoolwork and do turn up, they will definitely pass and go really well. And it does take time. I've got students in my class that have completed the work in 3 days because they've been using the program for a long time, and they're really intelligent kids. And I've got students that have worked for a whole term and completed them successfully as well. One of the things that you do need to be aware of is it's not a bad thing. It's actually probably a good thing that they fail at some stage, because once they've failed once, I think it's something like 80 or 85% of students pass the second time. So don't worry too much about the failure component. We've had a lot of failures because students misread or misunderstand a question when they're in a stressful mode. If you've got students with any disabilities, remember to apply for the extra time and other stuff. So that Microsoft's been very supportive with that whole process when you implement with your classroom environment. So, but in terms of how easy is it, I think that every student that turns up to school has the ability to complete this if they do the work. But it does take time for some. Most students will do it in 2 weeks.
Fantastically honest. Thanks, MJ. That's a really good insight. Another question here, which is, I like these kind of questions. What did you find has been the biggest challenge in setting up and embedding Microsoft certifications?
The embedding part's really simple, and you just have to map it to your curriculum. It is honestly just a matter of sitting down, having a look at your achievement standards for grade 10, level 6, and going through them. And we've actually mapped it to each of the different areas. Our year 10 students complete the they will complete in term 4 the database component, because it's normally the hardest one, but it certainly gives them a good understanding of the basics. PowerPoint, like I said, we embed for grade 11 QCAA subjects, because it gives them the skill set that they can complete their multimodal presentations really quickly and efficiently. And we see the difference between students who haven't done it and have done it. They can just complete stuff, make it look awesome in a couple of clicks. It's just about that process. Is there anything else you wanted to know on that one?
With the MOS program, is there a particular module that you would recommend starting with?
Oh, absolutely, PowerPoint.
Any reason for that?
Yeah, it's simple. So I think, I won't say all students, but I reckon there'd have to be a chunk of 60 to 70% of students could pass that with minimal effort. When you get onto Word Expert, and oh my God, okay, I've never failed a test before. I just have to say that. I failed the Microsoft Excel Expert. It's one of the shameful parts of my life, but if you've ever done it, the expert is like next level. And the second time I did it, I must have been misreading the questions somehow, but I ended up in what I call the 700 club. You need to get 700 points out of 1,000 points, so 70% to pass a test. And my second time around, and I did like 2.5 hours study for this test, which is, I don't do that. But I think the first time I failed at 60, I think it was 66.8% or something. So I was like spewing. And then the second time I did 2.5 hours study and only got 70% as well. But definitely the easiest one by far is PowerPoint, because kids are used to it and it's fun. You learn a whole heap of skills in there that you're going to be able to use across all your subjects between now and when you finish work. And like I said, that probably the most exciting part that I liked was the photo album. If you don't know photo album, honestly, check it out. It's just like a couple of clicks and you can do hundreds of photos in a presentation, which works beautifully coming up to the end of a year presentation.
Very good advice, and yeah, the Excel Expert certainly makes everybody sweat. There's some Excellent Excel users that we've worked with and been with before who have struggled with that one. With the first part of that question, MJ, what's been the biggest challenge in setting up certifications?
So the only challenge at all that I've faced, Prodigy have been great and supportive, and I suppose there's two challenges that I would say up front. One, the lag of getting an answer back. I'm a person who wants an answer straight away. So sometimes waiting for the experts to get back to you, can take 8 to 12 hours, and that's fine. But for me, I'm just unrealistic with my expectations. And the second thing would be managed operating environment, MOE, has been a challenge, but there's absolutely nothing that wasn't able to be fixed by reading the documentation that Prodigy and the predecessors of this process, because I've been doing it for about 6.5, 7 years now. Look, to be honest, it's just that minus PHP. If you're going to say, what is it? Minus PHP at the end of the shortcut really that took me weeks to figure out. So, and it was in the documentation. So read the documents. RTM, read the manual.
Sound advice. Last question for you, MJ1 here. Are there any other skills you think are important for making students work ready and more employable for today's modern workplace?
Yeah, we like I said, Travis already said it, the transferable skills. I mean, if you're having a look at the current Queensland documents or even Australian documents, they'll all talk about 21st century skills. The beautiful part about the Microsoft certificate, and the only reason why I've persevered and kept working with it, is really making sure that the skills that the kids get from undertaking the assessment really help with their lifelong learning, and especially going into university. They definitely help with the workforce. We have got a bunch of students who have completed the testing that now work as receptionists, and the reason they got their job, the reason why they got their start, is actually because of the certificate. There's also a lot of the the Cert 4 trainers and those things at TAFE. They actually now require you to sit a Microsoft Office specialist test before you, and that's how they rank you. They rank you by saying, okay, you need to talk the talk and walk the walk. Here's a Certiport testing environment. Yes, we've seen you've done this already. Yes, we've seen you got the certificate, but a part of our process to get a job is for them to sit down and actually do the test, and that can be stressful. But if they've already completed it a couple of times, they know how to read the information, they know how to answer the questions, because Microsoft give you all the answers. The literacy of the assessment is it gives you all the answers within the question. So it'll say things like insert blah. Well, you know that you have to go to the insert tab. You just need to teach the students the literacy of the question, and that's what I love about it, because I'm a big literacy person. Root words, lecture at UQ as well as a casual lecturer. Literacy is the important thing, and it teaches them that as well. So that's like an extra life skill on top. Solid program.
Thanks, MJ. Look, thanks once again for joining us. Look, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you present, and obviously to partner with you guys to deliver certification. So look, thank you for all your support. Certainly as Prodigy Learning, have grown over the last 3 years or so in Australia, I've learned a lot from you. So look, very much appreciate all your support and your honesty with us. It's greatly appreciated. So look, thanks for that today. I know MJ, I think you have to run as well. You said you had a class or teaching. So look, thanks again. Our final speaker is our very own Ema Henderson, who leads our business and the current success within Australia. Ema lives in our Sydney office and is responsible for our current success and growth in certifications across the country. So Ema, over to you.
Thanks, Andrew. And thanks to everyone on today's webinar. I'm delighted that so many of you have actually joined us to learn more about the Microsoft certifications. So as Andrew mentioned, I lead our schools and further education commitments across Australia from our Sydney office. So before we get into, how to actually get you set up for the Microsoft certifications at your school, and MJ has already done a great job of explaining that, I just first wanted to draw your attention to the current digital skills landscape here in Australia. So instantly we can see there that 50% of today's jobs actually require some degree of technology skills. which of course will only increase as the years progress, as technology is constantly growing with new innovations, especially with the recent COVID situation. As Travis mentioned at the start, everyone had to digitally transform basically overnight. This country as well is transforming industries that 40 to 50 years ago were purely labour intensive, the metals and mining industry, to now including technology in those very industries. So jobs that existed today, such as social media managers, roles in artificial intelligence, and cloud administrators as well, didn't exist 5 to 10 years ago. So imagine what the next 5 years will actually bring. And this is why it's hugely important for us to equip our students with the technical knowledge that they need to succeed. So Travis had mentioned earlier about the global number of technical roles that are going to be opening across the world. But if we just look at Australia here, by 2024, there's going to be 100,000 job openings for technology workers across Australia. And that's a fantastic number and a great number to see. But it's a bit worrying that only 16% of Australian high school graduates actually pursue degrees in STEM disciplines and are coming out of university with those IT skills, the basic IT skills as well that employers need. And this skills gap is only going to grow if we don't address it now. And that's why we're here, Prodigy Learning in Australia, to help you by working with Microsoft and working with your organisation to actually close that skills gap and give your students the opportunity to gain these IT skills. So it's important to mention here as well that the Microsoft skills and certifications are increasingly preferred or required on job announcements around the country. So, MJ had mentioned there that, TAFE is now requiring these Microsoft skills as well. But if we look at the data from LinkedIn and Seek, and this was data gathered today, so this is current information that, there's almost 10,000 active job listings, which is a huge number if we think of the current situation we find ourselves in. A lot of people actually are out of jobs, but there still is the demand there for candidates with those Microsoft Office skills across the country. So how can Prodigy Learning help then, and how can we help you to help your students prepare for these jobs that are actually in demand? So this is where the Microsoft certifications come in. A lot of these points have already been touched on, but I just want to really reiterate the importance of having the certifications. So you can see here 2 CVs. The CV on the left-hand side is that the job seeker is stating they have excellent knowledge in Microsoft Excel, Word, and PowerPoint. But how does the employer actually know that this person knows the skills that they're stating on this CV? Employers get hundreds of CVs like this each day, where candidates list their skills with no real proof, essentially. So that's where the certification comes in. If we look at the CV then on the right here, we can see that Josh here has 3 Microsoft badges. And they're the digital badges that the students will get once they go through all of the learning and pass the certification exam. And these are industry recognised certifications as well. So as soon as the employer sees this CV with those digital badges attached, they know that this candidate has actually went through, they've done all of the learning, they've went through a structured learning plan, and they've gained their certificate at the end as well. And that just sets them apart from all the other candidates that might be going for this job as well. Helping your students to stand out from the crowd and obviously enhancing their employability, which is the main reason for these. So along with putting the digital badges onto their CVs, then students can also share their achievements on social media channels. And the main one there being LinkedIn, probably for an employment perspective. Recruiters on LinkedIn can actually use the badge from your profile and access you first. So employers can actually come to you if you have these digital badges on your profile. The digital badge as well, so we can see here this one for Microsoft Word from the Office Specialist Programme. and that lives on a website called Acclaim, and your student has access to that website forever. So as soon as they get their certification badge, they'll set up a profile with Acclaim, and they basically have this access that a lot of people who haven't done the certifications, they won't have access to these job insights from Acclaim then. And that is really giving them access to employers that actually want to hire candidates with these Microsoft certifications, and really recognize the importance as well of having the certifications. So the Microsoft Certifications Program is a global certifications program. It's recognized all around the globe, and this year alone there has been 2 million certifications done across the globe. If we look at particularly here in Australia, then there has been more exams done than ever in Australia this year. Outnumbering exams done in other countries across the waters, which is really great to see. It just shows that there is actually a demand for these certification exams here in Australia. Even throughout the pandemic, students and staff were still getting certified using our exams from home solution, which is absolutely great. The growth in IT skills is really starting to show here. And as well as the global recognition, there is local recognition, which I will touch on in just a moment as well. So there are essentially 2 Microsoft certification pathways that we have. The left triangle here is the productivity stack, and Travis mentioned the importance of having those productivity skills at the beginning as well. That includes all of the IT skills that you're going to gain through using the Microsoft Office suite. So things like Word, Excel, and those other certifications that you can see. This certifications program then is called the Microsoft Office Specialist Program, and that does include all of those Office products. Students can do the standalone certificates, so they can do 1 for Word and they can do 1 for Excel, or they can do 3, and then that will give them the Microsoft Office Specialist title. And you can see that certification there up in the left-hand corner. That's the nice certificate that they get when they've done the 3. These productivity skills from the MOS certification will help your students get a job in any business, so they don't have to be interested in IT, and they don't have to be, really technically minded. MJ mentioned that a lot of his students had actually got jobs as receptionists. Any business really now uses the Microsoft Office suite, and these skills are often overlooked at a school level, and then by the time we get into the workforce, we're expected to know how to draw up a spreadsheet in Excel, and we're expected to know how to do a mail merge, and most of the time this is where students and people really struggle, which is why it's really important to progress through that structured learning path, so that you can learn all of these different skills that you might not think are hugely important at the time. I did mention that they're standalone certifications. Each of those certifications, the recommended getting learning hours is 15 hours for them. So that means that if your student is looking to gain a Word certification, there is 15 hours of content for them ready to go online. They can work through it as they please. MJ had mentioned there are a few different learning resources as well for the students, and it's expected that they do a bit of extra work outside that as well. The MOS exams are live in the application as well, which means that the students are actually completing the learning and the practice tests and the exams in the Microsoft application. So it's really practical and really hands-on. You're actually completing tasks in the application. You might be asked as a student to create a flyer, a promotional flyer, or create a sales report in Excel. We then have the right triangle over here. This is the IT professionals and developer stack. This is really more specific to the technical paths, such as software developers or network security. The entry level certification here that is applicable to those year 12 students as well is the Microsoft Technology Associate badge. So the badge on the right hand side here of that stack. And this certification really validates core concepts in those technologies. So, you know, we have infrastructure, database and development pathways as well. And again, you know, those exams are roughly around 20 hours of guided learning material online as well. So if we just before we move on, flick back over to the productivity stack. As we go up this stack, the exams obviously get a bit more tougher, and that's where MJ had mentioned that he failed the Microsoft expert level exam. So, you know, the students obviously will go through and do those associate levels, and then, you know, if they want to, if they're keen, they can go up and do the expert level exams as well, but they are a bit tougher. So these are the different MTS streams from that technical stack. So, you know, we have developer, infrastructure and database, and then we have some fundamentals in JavaScript, HTML and Java as well. So really key fundamental technology skills that the students will learn if they do the MTA. So I mentioned then that there is local recognition here in Australia for the program. So for the MOS program and for the MTA program. So those programs are currently recognised in Queensland and in WA then as well, as suitable to contribute credit to QCE in Queensland and then for WAIS in WA. So in Queensland, students can essentially earn up to 8 credits through the Microsoft program, as one application exam equals 1 QCE point. So, you know, if a student wants to go to PowerPoint, Word and Excel, they will then earn 3 QCE points, which goes directly into their learning accounts as well once they pass. So in WA, it's a similar structure, and you can do a maximum of 4 endorsed programs, 2 in year 11 and 2 in year 12. So, you know, the industry approved certificate students get at the end is then their evidence that they have taken part in this structured learning program. In the remainder of the states then, there's currently no school level recognition. We are working with each of the states to get this recognition, but this doesn't mean that, you know, they shouldn't be offered to your students as a value add. They will still gain these valuable IT skills that they need to be successful, and, you know, the statistics there that we've just went through, that really speaks for themselves. You know, you shouldn't really be waiting for the school recognition. It's up to you know, you as a school to actually give your students something else that's going to put them ahead of you know, the very large crowd that is going to be applying for these jobs. And they are industry recognised certifications as well, so employers around the country are asking for them. So it's not just secondary schools as well who are embedding the certifications into the curriculum. We work with universities across the country, one being the University of New South Wales, who have actually embedded the Excel expert level exam into their business courses as well. So, you know, if your student's coming out of school already with that certification, that's a big bonus for them. Shown on this slide then is the Microsoft Traineeship program, which helps school leavers or individuals looking to change their career into IT. This allows them to gain some of the latest Office and cloud computing certifications from Microsoft. And this is a 2-year program. As students progress through their studies at TAFE, they will pick up these highly sought after Microsoft certifications. The program was developed by ourselves, Microsoft, MEGT, and Microsoft's 100s of partners across Australia, where these were the skills that Microsoft's partners were asking for. So they wanted, the employers actually wanted trainees to have these certifications in order to succeed on the job. And this program has seen tremendous growth, reaching almost all of the states now in Australia, which really does show the demand in the workplace and at TAFE for these Microsoft skills. So you're probably wondering then what the process of gaining a certification actually looks like, and what we can do for you. So MJ did mention a lot of this. He talked about G-Metrics, which is all of the practice test components, and then some of the learning solutions as well. But really the end goal of the Microsoft program is obviously step 4 here, which is the certification exam. And that is what we want to get your students to, you know, that's what is really important. So everything before step 4 then is how you're going to prepare them using, you know, our resources or your own resources to actually get them there. There are different learning solutions, so we can see there Microsoft Learn. So that's actually a free resource from Microsoft for the more technical streams that offers these structured learning programs. We then have LearnKey, which is all of the video learning content. It has a series of training videos, exercise labs, pre and post assessment, glossary of key terms, and student workbooks as well. So it has absolutely everything in it and is a really, really great resource. And then for the teacher, then you have all of the lesson plans on LearnKey, all of the answers to everything as well. So, you know, it's really quite useful for planning in. And then we have, you know, the practice tests and the certification exam. So the practice tests can be used as a way of learning as well. So, you know, if those students want to learn by doing, they can do practice tests in testing mode, or they can do it in training mode, which actually helps them complete the question, sort of like an exercise lab as well. So the the passing mark on the test is 70%. So, you know, you usually do the practice tests until you're getting 70, 80%, and then you're ready then to go and sit the certification program. So it is a structured process, but obviously it can be done completely to suit your timetable and your needs. You know, this is just a sort of guide from us, but you can do it whatever way you want, you know, if, you know, you want to get to that final stage, which is the certification exam. So there are other recognised certification programs in Queensland and Western Australia that I just want to briefly touch on. This is the certifications from Adobe. So the SCS certification is really the perfect way for students to expand their interest if they're in the field of design. And they work in a similar way to the MOS certifications as well, in that they're live in the application and each product acts as a standalone certification. So each of those certifications can get 1 point to QCE or WAIS as well. This is the Autodesk certification then as well. So SCU, it is an entry-level certification as well then that validates skills within the industry using all of the Autodesk software, and the same as the MOS and Adobe. Each of those different product certifications hold 1 QCE point or 1 WAIS point as well. So it really is such an easy process to get set up. You will always have support from someone from Prodigy, myself, or another account manager, and we really want to help you implement this and for it to be successful. So, you know, once we figure out the best exam pack for you, we will go ahead and get you set up as a testing centre so that you can start delivering the certifications program as well. And you always have access to your account manager for support as well. So if you have any questions at all, it doesn't matter, you know, how big or small the question, we're always happy to help as well, you know, help you plan if necessary. So I just want to mention a few more bits then before we go over to the Q&A section again. I'm really excited to announce this. This is the Microsoft Office Australian Championship that is taking place on the 2nd of December. So each year there is usually a global Microsoft Office Championship where students across the globe come together in one location, and they compete to win over the title and prove that they have the best of the best Microsoft Office skills. And this photo here on the slide is actually a student from University in New South Wales who went to compete in the US. But obviously, for obvious reasons, this year the global championship has been cancelled. But we really wanted to still give students the opportunity in each market that we operate the chance to prove their skills and win some amazing prizes. So we did have the Irish and UK champions a few weeks ago, and now we're really all hands-on for the Australian Championship. This is the first time that we've had an Australia-wide championship, and we're so excited to see who the champ will be as well. So definitely get involved. It's really simple. All the student needs to do is take a Microsoft Office exam to be entered, and then how it works is we will tally the scores, and then the top 30 finalists will compete in the virtual final on the 2nd of December, and we'll be in the chance of winning some great prizes and recognition from Microsoft Australia as well. So another program that we have that may interest some of your students as well from the younger age groups is the Coding on Minecraft Credential. So this program teaches students how to code through using the Minecraft Education Edition. It starts off by using block-based coding from Microsoft MakeCode, which is really good. It helps students get to grips with the actual, the problem-solving side of programming. And then it goes on then to actually the text-based coding, and that's where they gain their MTS certification as well. And they also get micro credentials at each step of the process. So once they complete a task, the teacher will grade it and then give them a micro credential as well. The capstone credential there is also achieved by passing an invigilated exam. So normal exam conditions will apply for that one as well, similar to the MTA exam. So this is just an overview of the environment then that the student will learn in. So we can see first there the block-based code here. So you're actually in a Minecraft virtual world and you're using the code builder then from MakeCode, which is really cool. And then we have the evidence-based assessments. So assessments are completed in the Minecraft world. It's all very practical, and then they are graded by the teacher. Teachers will then provide some feedback, and that's where they will award then the micro credentials, and there's all of the resources available for teachers as well. So if you've never taught coding before, like, everything's there for you, so don't worry about that too much. So that is it from me then. Andrea, I'll flick back over to you to see if there's any questions in the question box.
Perfect stuff. Excellent. Thank you, Ema. Look, appreciate that walkthrough of the certifications, and we're delighted to launch the Australia Championships, and we're delighted to look to crown our Australian champion at the end of this year. For those who haven't seen the competition or would like to find out more information, do visit our website, prodigylearning.com.au, for more detailed information. Students do need to take a MOS exam to qualify for that. So if you are thinking about setting up to deliver certification in your organisation, then once students begin to take their exams, they will automatically qualify by completing their exam. So look, do take a look at the championship. It's a fantastic way to engage and introduce programs. I'm just looking. There's a couple of questions here that come in. We've got maybe just a couple of minutes to take these. So one here, Ema, how long does it usually take to get set up?
Yeah, that's quite a common question. So it really doesn't take that long. We can work around your schedule. Once we have decided on the exam pack that you want to go with, on our side, it usually takes a few days, to get everything up and running. So it really just depends on your time and your availability. Yeah, that's basically it. It doesn't take long at all.
Well, look, MJ, you're still with us. I'm going to throw that same question over to you from a practical school sense. How long do you find it takes to get set up? How long did you find the process?
Basically, the OC holder just requests a package and it gets pushed directly to the lab. So I would suggest that that's going to happen in most schools' environments. That's for the geometrics content, and the Certiport content's really just running another MSI package. So from a school point of view, technical point of view, overnight. You just got to request the right thing, and to be honest, the Prodigy team has been excellent with their white papers up online, which is a how-to instructions up online. It's actually really simple. It's better than it's ever been before, and the software is proxy aware, so that's really nice. It just means it actually works for the kids on the network pretty much straight away. Everything just works. I say that now, but then you probably go and get it installed and then it doesn't work for you. Don't worry, they've got white papers to help out, and the people in Brizzy central office are great as well. So yeah, there's been no issues with that, and it's good about getting the kids the points. That's the nice part.
Another question we have here, MJ, this one might actually be another one for you. What age would you recommend the students start MOS or any of the certification programs?
So we start at the end of grade 9, which is 14 years old. It's once again, like exactly what Ema had said earlier, it's about the skills. It's not about necessarily getting the points. So for us, we do start in year 9 with the training component. We don't actually sit any Certiport test to grade 10 because the don't get the QCE points until grade 10, but the G-metrics component is great for a 14-year-old kid and above. That's where we've found the most success with the grade 9 kids, because they can just follow along with instructions or watch videos. The information that was said earlier still stands true.
Perfect stuff. And I think you answered this next question in your presentation earlier. But do students that are going to take any of the certification programs need to have previous IT experience, or do they need to be on an IT course?
No, absolutely not. So we run, we call it VSW, which is Skills for Work, as a vet course in grade 10. So the kids often, the kids who complete that course quicker than others go on to the Microsoft certification, and students come to me at any stage, or my technicians up in the library, to sit the test. So anybody can sit a test at any stage, they just need to arrange it. Our teacher aides, those who want to get certified, sit at after school time. So really it comes down to what you're willing to do as and I like to call it as the school champion, because every program takes a school champion. It doesn't matter what it is. If you don't have somebody who's willing to invest time and effort in, all these systems will fail. But basically what you want is a fantastic opportunity to give kids stuff outside of school. So I have kids come and sit it during lunch, before school, after school. It doesn't really matter. It's just whatever works for them and me, to be honest.
Fantastic stuff, and never a truer point, MJ. You know, where we see the success in our programs, it's having a true evangelist, somebody with the passion that you have. So look, I think that's something that's key to success in the programs. And look, thank you again for your time, and thank you for all your support and commitment to help us, to help our business, and obviously to help support and deliver the certifications within your own school. That's pretty much bringing us around to the end of the webinar this afternoon. So look, a huge thank you to everybody. I'm going to pause on this slide briefly so you can grab Ema's details. If you want to get in touch with us, you can contact Ema via email, or equally you can visit our website or catch us on any of the social media channels. Ema will be in touch after the webinar with some further information and a link to the session. We have recorded this session, so we are going to post this up online for anybody who maybe wants to watch again, or maybe share with some colleagues. So we will share those details. Ema will be in touch. Look, if you want to continue the conversation with Ema and have a more detailed conversation, or even look to obviously see how you can set up certification in your own organisation, then please continue that conversation with Ema. And then finally, I just want to say a big thank you to everybody for listening in this afternoon. You know, we very much appreciate everybody taking the time out of your schedules and joining us to listen to more about the different certification programs that we offer. Look, I hope everyone's found the session as inspirational, insightful as I have. I want to thank again our guests. I think it's been amazing. We've had a fantastic introduction from the team at Microsoft, from Travis, and then a brilliant insight from MJ, and some fantastic questions there that were posed, and some fantastic answers. So look, very much appreciate everybody giving up the time again this afternoon. Thank you to everybody for listening. Do all continue to stay safe and well in this current climate. It is a strange time, so look, do wish everyone well. So look, thanks everybody, and take care.